So dramatic.
I know. So
dramatic. Okay, here we go. Ending the evening. First of all, Ashley, this has been a blast. Thank you for joining me. And
yeah, it's been great.
Day one of the full presentations modes. It's been a lot of fun seeing all these great demonstrations. And yes, of course, all this is being recorded and will be put up on our YouTube page for rewatching. So don't you worry. So what are we doing here? Well, we're showing you some new things. Okay. So yes, we're going to show you guys some stuff that we've been working on. And this is going to be exciting. I'm telling you, we just literally released 2021.7.1 in July, right? So we've got some stuff here that I want to share with you. And again, we are going to be doing this actually every day for the summit. So I'm not showing you everything today. So if you want to see other things, you got to come tomorrow, and you want to see some more other things, you got to come back on Tuesday, right? I'm not showing everything that we've been doing in this one stream today. We're going to be spreading it out this year across 3 separate days. So you're going to have to come join us for all 3 days if you really want to see everything that we've been up to that we're looking to share with you guys today. Okay. So is everyone buckled up, ready to go, excited for this? I know I'm excited. I can see
I am. Am I in the dark about these features too? Like, is this the okay.
Yes.
I'm ready.
You are. Yes.
I am chat live reaction.
Okay. So Ashley's going to be your guys. Yes. Chat live action. Ashley might know about some of this, but Ashley's not going to know about all of this. Okay. So there's going to be, yes. Thanks, Spicer. Throwing it up there a little. Look up here. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Okay. So this is just something I've been making for actually the purpose of the summit. And I'll be using him throughout these 3 days, just doing some different things on him. So there's just something I want to highlight really quick on this particular model. That is something that it's there. So like this kind of pattern thing that's on his chest, right? So I'm going to actually have a copy of that subtool, right? So I want to talk about, for me, we were talking about some things. The chisel brush is a big brush for me that I like to use. I like to throw on a little Z add in there for this too. And I'll go like a little bit smaller and I'll say, so you guys might be doing this already. And I'm going to turn off the poly paint. We don't need any of that. We don't need any of that. Just keep it armor-like. So let's say you do a stroke like this, right? And then say I want a stroke down here that does this. And then you guys should know now about, right? To be able to do interpolate, right? So when we do this, ZBrush is going to look at all those strokes and interpolate them, right? So I'm only showing this to get this idea and concept down, okay, for everybody. And I'm going to switch to a different model right now. This one's got live booleans going on it, okay? And what we've done here is we've taken this idea that with this interpolation idea that we have, okay? And what we've done is on my Cintiqs, there we go, is put that in Stager. So you guys are now going to be able to use something like this in Stager. So as you can see, we've made some additional things to the Stager, which we already had 2 tips today. So like I said, so I'm going to grab, say, this piece right here, this little white piece right here, so you guys can see that, right? I'm going to say I want a home stage for that. Then we're just going to move this down to here, right? Through here, say there, make a target stage. Now I can say, how many do I want to interpolate? I click that, and then I can.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's nice.
Undo, and
that's good.
I can tell you, how about just give me 5 of them, and then I can interpolate. Yep. Now I'm getting only 5 of those stretched across, right? So it's taking that same concept sculpturally, and now we're using it with actual meshes, right? Come in here, part of the Stager, okay? So obviously, not only that, we can undo this, right? And then I can say, let's make this one a little bit smaller maybe here, and then let's move it to there. And I want to actually retarget this, okay? So I'm going to turn this off and then back on, so it makes a new target, right? And I'm going to close this little circle here, this little friend here. Let's go maybe to 8, and then I say interpolate. And now you can also see variation in sizes too.
That's nice.
So it's not just about interpolating the same mesh, right? So this is over the course, right? It's taking this idea that we're talking about that I just showed in the beginning here and applying it, right?
Yeah.
And making it work across the board with the mesh, right? But it's not going to stop there. We wanted to keep experimenting and expanding upon this feature, right? Because you guys, I know a lot of you are already using this feature, hence we've got some tips already happening for this feature. So I'm going to take this one. So again, we'll just make a home stage, and then I'm going to say, let's put the, let's go back here, right about in there, right? Make a target stage. Then I'm going to say I want 7 of them, and then interpolate, and then boom,
nice.
we get them across the whole piece here,
nice.
right? So I'm going to undo that because then obviously this is a big one for, I'm sure a lot of you asked for. There is now a copy, right? So I can interpolate this, and then I can say, hey, you know what I want to do? I want to mess with something else on this surface, right? I want to go at this and do some different things with this. So I'm going to go clicking on, say, this piece. Oops, that's me. Sorry, that's my clicking. Right? So this middle piece right here that we have right in there, okay? I want to say just paste those and then interpolate those, and then boom, I can get the exact same thing. So your stager now is going to have more abilities. So even those tips already today we had, right, from Steven and Anna about using stager, you now have the ability to interpolate across. You can change your sizes. You're going to be doing a lot of copy and pasting now. So that's going on. So I'm not able to watch the chat at the same time.
Yeah, no,
so,
everybody's like super hyped about that. They're saying your audio is a little bit choppy.
My audio is choppy?
Yeah, I don't know. That came through a few people.
Huh. Let's
Sound
see.
fine on my end.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay. How is it now?
They're saying it's fine
now. It's fine now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe a CPU thing.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. So we've added stuff to the stager for that for you guys. So I'm sure some of you might even saw some of this. So I'm going to move on to something else now. So I'm going to grab one of old school Joseph Druss trucks. Right. We'll turn off the floor grid. We don't need that. Right. So I'm sure you guys saw it when I opened this. In the subtools now, there are now these little V1s through V8s. Okay. And this is going to be helpful, I think, for all of you, especially for us working, trying to do some things. So what this is going to be is a visual subtool thing. So as an example, I'm going to go to V2 and I'm going to say, okay, the only things I really want to look at is maybe like the upper body portion, maybe like this or like this, right? And so now this is stored in V2. So now I can go back, well, now I need to see everything. I can go back and see everything. And then, you know, I need to get back to looking maybe at the body of the truck again with all the parts together. You are now can store 8 different stages of your subtool viewing, right? So if I even switch to say something like view 3, and then now I only want the tires, right? The stuff that's the tires. Okay. Now this is stored in view 3, right? And then view 1 goes back to showing them all. View 3 will go back to just showing only your tires, right? So I know, and this will work with folders. I know that question's probably already getting thrown up there right now. This will work with folders.
How about layers as well? People are saying, are layers compatible with this?
No, this is just for subtool visibility. That's all this is for. This is just to be able you guys to show and hide subtools, in essence, making visual sets up to 8 for your actual subtools, right? So it's just another way, because I'm sure a lot of you, maybe you got a folder that's just the head and maybe a torso. Maybe you want to have, it's one of those stored where you have just like me. I'm looking at just the top part, right, of the vehicle. And then I'm back to looking at the whole vehicle. Then I can go back and say, I want to look at the tires. And then every one of these, you can make different selection sets, in essence, for this a little bit. It's viewables, right? That's what it's doing for you guys. So another way for you guys is kind of help organize your subtools a little bit for you all.
So hyped. They're so amped.
Okay,
everybody's amped. Yeah.
Good. And as long as my audio is not breaking up anymore, then we're in good.
You're great. As soon as the bus truck came by.
Yeah, we need a Joseph Druss sighting. Okay, so let's move on to this. And there was another reason why I grabbed this chisel brush to begin with. I'm a big fan of this brush. I like to use it to cut into the surface. I actually like using it for scribe lining. And like I just did on that samurai guy, raising the surface, right? So we're taking this idea a little bit and we've made some other brushes. So we've got two new brushes. We've got a ScribeChisel and a ScribeStandard. So I'm going to go with the chisel because you now know it's near and dear to my heart. You love me some of that chisel brush. What exactly is this going to do for you guys? So I'll just throw a couple brush strokes on here and you guys are going to see right out the gate what this is doing for you. It's creating some very nice cuts through the surface through here, right? So, and then again, I can make my brush size smaller if I want to, start adding a little bit more different parts in here, right? Go even smaller, right? So this is all being done along a curve, right? So which means I can actually move it if I want to, right? But what also means is I can start adjusting and playing with this even some more, right? Because in the stroke palette, we are going to our modifiers and looking at our size. This is what we're doing. So if I threw another, say a dot in there, another dot in there, right? So we got a completely different looking profile now, right? And then so if I start doing this, you can see I get now very sharp and then gets wider and then back to very and skinny. So you guys can really do some unique brushes with this, right? And again, changing your brush size to smaller and bigger will make a big difference for this. Okay.
So some people are asking if you can reverse that. Like
reverse it in the
like a
sense you mean
chisel.
like flipping it. So you can
Yeah.
flip it. Yeah. If you want to do some flippings, you can do some flippings, right? And then you're going to flip it the other way. So now the two parts are larger, right? At the end and the beginning and the end of the curve and skinnier in the middle, right? So it's really whatever you want to do here with this curve, right? But what I also want to highlight, with this curve in particular, what we've done with this is actually we've added another slider, okay? And we've added a substepping slider now. So in the curve mode's got another addition to it, right? So if I drop this down to 1, right? I'm going to go a little bit bigger just so you guys can see what's happening in here, right? So you can see when it's down to 1, this is what's happening. Yeah. So we're dropping right now. This brush has got in essence a VDM alpha on it, right? So we're dropping at every point this alpha along here. And now what we've added the ability to do for you, and again, you guys are going to experiment with this however you want. These are just some brushes we're going to ship with you. So they're substepping. So in essence, how many of these do I want to add in between each one of these, right? So the more I go, the more something like, for example, if I only put it at 2, okay, and now I do this, right? You can see you're getting stuff like that, right? Where it's got like some kind of little ribbing thing that's happening in there, right? And then let's not forget you got things like Z-add, right? Don't forget you can also add that.
Yeah, that's what people were asking. Yeah.
Yeah. So like as an example, right? If we go back to here, I'm going to put him back to the defaults. I'm going to put him back to the sub and I'll put him back to just all the way. So now what I'm telling ZBrush is add 25 of this same alpha in between each one of these curve points, right?
Yeah.
So I keep adding more throughout this, okay? So if we took this in another context, okay? Let's look at, say, this mask up here that I did on this guy. So we'll solo out, so we're only looking at him, right? So you can start seeing where I even used it. Okay, so we'll go with just nothing. We'll just stick with just this, right? And now you got to be thinking about all this stuff right now that I'm showing you and we're bringing together. Think about the way all these presentations have been going, right? It's about using, okay, well, what if I made a stroke like this, right? And then maybe I go a little bit smaller, right? And then make a stroke like this, right? And then now, okay, come to your strokes. And how about we interpolate that, right? And tell ZBrush to do this kind of a thing, right? So, and then you can see you got a nice change in plane right here.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
gorgeous.
We've got those repeating things, right? But I'm going to take this. I'm going to go one more step. I'm going to go one more step with this. Okay. So let's actually add some color now. Let's throw in some red.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Making it colorful.
Gotta have to throw a little bit of color. So we'll say something like that.
Oh, nice.
And let's do a completely different color and a completely different size. Okay.
You're getting a rainbow?
And let's do that. Okay. So now I've got red and I got a yellow. I got different sizing. Come here and interpolate. right? And again, boom, we are actually
That's cool.
transitioning the color. You got a gradient color now going from the red to the yellow, and the size is also transitioning now for you guys, right? So
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
that's
taking
cool.
advantage of Interpolate with this new ability with this ScribeBrushes to create some kind of unique design on this mask, right? Almost
Oh yeah,
looks
they're
like,
jazzed. They're
yeah,
heckin' jazzed. Yeah, they're really, yeah.
they're
Yeah, they're
loving
very
it.
excited about gradients, man. It does it. It's the juice.
That's the juice. The gradient hits home. The gradient hits. And mind you, this is only the first presentation, right? From us. We still have also tomorrow and Monday, so don't forget about that. Okay. So this is just, again, I'm trying to make a story here. If you see, starting with some interpolation with the brush, we pull over in a little stager at you, a little
Beautiful.
visible, come right back to it. You know, you guys feel loosey goosey now. I love it. Okay, so
No,
let's
10
keep,
storytelling.
yeah,
Love it.
yeah, it's really important. Okay, that's
Mhm.
storytelling. Okay, not just in your sculpts, but in your presentations, people.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
let's go now to Mr. Demo Soldier, just because we're all used to him.
There he is.
There he is. You got to bring him, okay? You can't leave him in the dust, okay? We all know Dress loved his earthquake, but I'm Demo Soldier kind of guy, all right? So I'm gonna switch back to our Gizmo, and it was really great to see how much Denzel was using Gizmo to do
Mhm.
some of his hard surface modeling with ZModeler, which has a mode in there for that, which is great. Okay,
Yep.
so let's throw it here on the front of his face here, okay? And we all know this, right? We got this, right? We can move it. We're throwing a party, right? Everyone's involved. You know, throw little pizza boxes on, Joseph said, right? But you're all
Mhm.
coming. Okay, Ash is coming. All of you are coming watching this. We're all coming together. Yay! Right? All the subtools come together. Okay,
I'm here
makes
for this
sense.
party.
What?
I'm here for this party. Let's
Here
go.
you are. Okay. So I'm going to do a little something here. Watch. I'm going to change my focal shift to say 90. Okay. And now what you guys are going to be able to do is, let's say, scale. I'm actually scaling his head. Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. And then also, so this is now a transitional, nice gradient. I'd say the easiest word I could say, this is a gradient little transition. I'll show you a couple more examples in this, right? So what this also means is, guess what? Throw those pizza boxes on, right? And they all work
Oh.
together,
Oh,
right?
I'm gonna abuse this.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely abusing this. Yeah.
Mhm,
No,
mhm,
this is
mhm.
beautiful.
Right? So let's as an example, let's do this. Okay. Let's throw on a little bit of some symmetry. Let's throw some local in, right? And now you can see, yes, big hands, big hands
Yes.
and small, tiny hands, right? But this is not just working with scale. You can also move. So see, there's a nice transitional part happening here, right? So it's got a nice little roll off now to your gizmo. And then also, obviously, this is for you, Ash. Oh, there you
Oh, yeah. That's the
go. Oh, yeah.
juice. That's the
There it
good
is.
stuff right there.
Right? That's
Mhm.
the good stuff
Mhm.
that you like,
That's
right?
good. That's good.
So I've found this also very useful for you. You know, you're talking about posing, coming in here, doing this, right? Having a higher focal shift, right? And then using this actually to do some of even your posing, right? So you can hold the
Mhm.
Alt key, set it here, right? And then you can see starts
That's good.
soft transitioning,
Mhm.
right, through here. So when you now are going to be changing your focal shift, there's going to be a change in how the gizmo actually is going to work for you guys. Okay. So this is going to be something that I can see some people, right? Like I say, some experimental stuff for this for sure.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
And then you got your whole slider range to do whoa,
Oh,
whoa,
yes.
whoa,
Let's
matrix,
go.
burp, 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 right? So your gizmo's got even more stuff thrown at it now, right? So that's another thing for you guys. It's just trying, again, we're all about, you know, we're thinking about, I'm sure you guys have seen from all the presentations about designing and discovering some of this, right? That's where some of these features are coming from us is I want to be able to have some quick ways to design and think of some different ways, right? So, and
Mhm.
everyone's going to use this stuff differently. I think that's what today hammered home, right? For everybody.
Yep.
Okay. So good. We're good. So let's keep molding on here. I'm gonna take a swig of water because this one's exciting for me.
All
This one's
right.
a this one's a big one for me personally. Hold on. Mhm.
Well, everybody's super, super jazzed anyways.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like to
Some
see.
people are saying, like, they wanna see that with EDM like, that's an EDM visual for some music.
Oh, yeah, right. It could be, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so, okay, this one's a big one for me. This is gonna change hard surface, okay? This is a hard surface tool I'm gonna drop on you right now. Okay, so this came up multiple times already today, right? Doing beveling is something that we all wanna put on a hard surface. Now, in the world of ZBrush, we're dealing with not just low polygonal stuff, we're dealing with things with higher polygon counts. And in all fairness, it's not always clean topology with the things that we have with Dynamesh and Sculptris Pro, right? So there's a lot of ways you guys can just saw from the last presentation how different ways you can attack something like hard surface. So as an example, this is a mesh, you know, that's sitting around 500,000, right? And you can see how dense this is, okay? And you can see it's got different types of topology. And then of course there is some polygrouping here, right? So what I want to do is take this mesh and let's throw a bevel on this, okay? I want to be able to throw a bevel on that, okay? So what we have here right now, it's going to be a plugin. We have something called BevelPro. All right.
There it
And
is.
so I'm just going to click this little handy dandy button and we're going to have another application open up for you. And what this is going to do, and this is using your video card, by the way. Okay. So this will use your video card. And again, the stress point here is if you've ever had to do beveling on anything, like all applications have beveling, but it's usually topology driven in the sense you got to have low topology to get that nice bevel. This you don't. Okay. That's the beauty of this application of this now. Okay. You're going to be able to actually change things on the fly. Okay. So I'm going to walk you guys through this because this is near and dear to my heart, this one, because of all my hard surface love. Okay. So you see some blue and some red. In essence, that's controlling your bevel. How much beveling do you want to actually have between each of the polygroups? And I want to point out specifically with this piece, this is going to have concave and convex beveling happening. Okay. So watch, I'm going to say, you know, my bevel amount in essence is how much of a bevel do I want in these polygroups. Okay. So all I'm going to do is just start raising this a little bit. I let go. This is going to reanalyze. And again, we're doing 500,000 polygons right now, analyzing, figuring out what the bevel is going to be, and then boom, it updates. Okay. So now you guys can get a little bit more visual cue here. So the blue dots are in essence the vertex points along every single one of the polygroups, right? Okay. So all those polygroups that we have on this piece, you got the blue dots. The red is where now your bevel is going to start and where your bevel is going to end, in essence, where the beginning and end of your bevels are going to be. And that pinkish red tone is actually going to be your bevel. Okay. So as an example, I can come down here and say auto apply. And now what this is going to do is bam, apply a bevel. Okay. There you go. You got a bevel just like that, right?
That was the exact
same.
Going
to use live booleans to do this. Okay. So this is why the geometry itself, it can be different topology. It can be a little more dense, right? You don't have to now, we have beveling already in ZModeler. This is now for you guys to use this on a mesh. So now I say, okay, comes back, boom, it's in ZBrush. There you go. It's that simple. You can see that I've got my polygrouping as well, all set there, ready to go. Right. So I want to show some examples because I want to highlight some of the features throughout this BevelPro. I'm sorry, I get loud and obnoxious and exciting. It's just, it's a changer for me. It's a big one for my workflow.
They're getting just as excited.
Right. So throwing in the BevelPro again, we're going to throw it in there. Okay. So this one is like a gun handle, right, that I made. And again, I used live Booleans to actually make this repeating pattern with array mesh. Okay. But it's very harsh. So I don't want it to be harsh anymore. And again, where the red is, that's how big the bevel is. So for this particular mesh, that's way too big, right? So again, your bevel amount here is going to allow you to change your bevel without actually even applying a bevel. Okay. So this is the point by default. We're going to show you the non-applied version, but the mesh that's actually being created to be able to give you guys the bevel that you're going to throw back in ZBrush. And I'm going to show you here in a couple other examples in a second here that you don't even have to apply the bevel in BevelPro, but you're going to be able to throw the mesh back into the world of ZBrush right? Because a lot of us that were using live booleans, like myself, I'll have a bunch of subtools. Some of them have dynamic subdiv, some of them are dynamesh, some of them have been subdivided surfaces, and I still got subdivided surfaces, right? So I'm going to have a range of things that I want to manipulate and change here. Okay. So I want to be able to have some controls to this and figure out what do I want, right? So this is now the bevel that I have. Okay. So again, this coloring is showing you this. And by the way, this can be changed. You have display colors. So you guys can even change the color of the mesh, what color you want it to be inside of here. You can change all the things, your bevel amount, right? So this is that reddish tone color, right? You guys can make this any color that you want, right? So you're going to have a range here of things that you can do as well to change your colors and whatever you want to do, okay? So what I mean by this is now I've got a bevel here going along all this part. And now if I just say okay without doing an auto apply, what ZBrush is going
Just a
with this is in
little.
here,
There we go.
and we're going to throw it back inside of ZBrush. And what we're actually going to give you, as you can see, because solo mode's on, the actual topology that we created it for you inside of BevelPro, right? So that's what's going on here. So this is, you can see we're in solo mode right now. So if I turn this on, right, this is what we have. And so there's the bevel that we're getting, but it's really coming from that geometry. And you can see that is automatically set to subtract as well, right? Because that's what I wanted in here. I want this to be a bevel, so I want it to be a subtracted piece. Okay, so you guys are going to have both methods. You're going to have, you can apply the bevel immediately if you want to, or throw it back in my scene because I got a mesh that has subdivisions, or I got a mesh that I don't want the bevel to be applied to all the time, right?
We
Okay,
like options.
so
Options are good.
options are good. All right, so let's look at some more stuff in here. Let's throw this at it, right? And again, keep in mind, a lot of these meshes, they're all over the place as far as polygons, what they're doing and everything as well. That's the point of this, right? Is coming up with an option for us to be able to throw different things at the BevelPro. Okay, so I want to cover some more options through here. Okay, so I'm going to turn off my smoothing. I'm going to turn that completely off. And you can see when we make these adjustments, it's got to reanalyze everything and figure this all out. So I'm going to zoom in particular a little bit closer to say this area, right? So what's happening here again, right? We got your beginning, those dots in the middle is where our polygroups are connected, right? So if we throw on auto apply, then we're going to apply. You can see there's our bevel. We're good to go. Now, one thing I want to stress about this particular, this particular mesh, what's really becomes also hard for bevels is this thing where I'm coming up here, I'm on an angle, and all of a sudden, boom, I shoot this way, right? That is very difficult sometimes to be able to manipulate. And again, we're dealing with a piece of topology that's not, low polygon. Like this is not a couple hundred faces. This is a couple 100,000 faces right now, right? So there's an option here called sharp. Okay. So if I turn this off, that option is going to tell the BevelPro, hey, don't pay attention so much of the transitional. So you can see this corner now isn't as good right here where my mouse cursor is right there. You see how this is the problem that you'll have sometimes with beveling. So we had to come up with a way, well, when you do have scenarios like this, where you've got a 90-degree, in essence, transitional change, right, happening, we need to come up with this. So that's what this sharp option's doing. That is a setting that you are going to be able to turn on or off and say, hey, I need this to pay attention, boom, to that angle. And now you're getting a clean, nice line right there through that transition. Some of you might not think this is a big deal, but trust me, from developing this and throwing models at it, this is a big deal. This is a big one for you.
It really is. Yeah.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then, of course,
some people were asking, actually, quite a few people are asking about the GPU load, like what kind of GPU they're going to need for this.
You're not going to need a fantastic video card to
there we go.
Right. But obviously, that's all with video cards, right? The better video card you have, the more polygons you're going to be able to throw in a BevelPro compared to a lower end video card. But we've done tests with a whole bunch of ranges of video cards to literally like a low video card that's in a notebook, right? All the way down to that level to obviously higher end level video cards. Okay. So Then you hit OK. And again, we throw it back there. I'm done. It's in now my ZBrush, and you can see there it is ready to go. And I also like to point out, which I'm going to show next, see the topology that's being created? See how nice and clean that is, right? You guys are also going to be able to control that too. So let's, an example, let's go to this, right? So here is part of a Gundam model that I've been making, right? And I want to stress with this one is I've got 3 polygroups here right now, okay? And again, this is all driven by polygroups, okay? That's what it's looking to see where to put the bevel. Where there's a polygroup intersection, that's where I'm going to throw the bevel at you, okay? So I've got this red portion. I've got this, what do we call that? Blue, pink, violet, I'd say. Violet color, right?
Yeah, indigo. I don't know. Depends.
Yeah,
Depends.
I'll go with it, right? And then we've got this polygon, right? So this is on pretty much, if you look, relative to the same plane, right? It's pretty much the same plane as this area here, right? And so because this plugin is looking at your polygrouping, of course, it's going to want to then try and put a bevel, right, in that area right there, okay? We are going to need some control here because I clearly don't want the bevel here. So there's going to be more than one way to do this, okay, for you all. So the first way to do this is I'm going to tell BevelPro, in essence, to ignore a polygroup based upon the actual normal, okay? So in essence, how the normal is from each other, right? All the normals along this are relatively the same, right? They're all facing relative the same direction. There's not a normal here and also a normal going this direction, right? Because that would make sense then. So we have a polygroup angle slider here, okay? And the higher I put this, the more it's going to ignore polygroups to see that are on the same plane as what I, because that's clearly, I don't want
nice.
a bevel there, right?
Yeah, that's nice.
Right?
That's nice.
Yeah. And then I don't this bevel's not big enough for me. So I come to my bevel amount, I up that bevel amount to make a bigger bevel on this. And now I've got a bigger bevel. Okay. Do I want to see what that looks like? I can throw an auto apply here. I can see what that's starting transitioning and what that starts to look like. Okay. And you notice, say, this corner right in here, right? And these corners here. I also want to stress that corner right in there. You guys see that? So we're creating, obviously, a piece of topology, right? That's what this, right, for me now, it's pink, right? So it's a piece of topology we're creating for you guys, right? So you guys are going to now have also controls to this. So remember I told you the topology is being created. So if I hit my preview edges, you can see we are creating some topology through it. And see these spans here. We can't control these spans here because you can see every point here. That's on the mesh that I sent to BevelPro, right? So we're taking every one of those vertex points along those sides and creating a new piece of topology. But you guys can also change the resolution of that, right? So see now there's no spans this way. You can create and add more spans. So I want 6 this way. You guys might be, well, what's the point of that? You got to remember, there's 2 ways to use this. I can either automatically apply it here in BevelPro, or I throw it back into ZBrush, and then I can do stuff to that topology as well. So we need to give you guys that ability to have that range, right? The turning on the auto apply, I like to say, is a destructive way because you're actually doing something in the mesh, you're changing it. Keeping auto apply off is non-destructive because it's going to throw it back into ZBrush with the mesh. Now, something else that I want to show with this, I'm going to turn off previews for now. Okay, and then let's throw on auto apply again. And I'm going to show this in more than one way. So you see these, again, these corners here, and specifically this corner here, right? So that mesh that we are creating, it's got a certain thickness to it. Okay, so BevelPro is like, well, I'm going to create whatever you tell me to. And there's a slider to control that, right? So I'm going to turn off the auto apply again so we can see your geometry. And the mesh amount is, in essence, controlling like an extract, okay? It's not an extract, but this is the easiest way I can explain it to you guys. You're creating the thickness, in essence, how big is that piece of geometry that we are creating with BevelPro? That's what this slider, so now you can see there's a lot of pink everywhere, right? In this
Lots
case.
of pink.
So when you guys are going to start using this, that's, in essence, what you want to start looking for. You don't want something like this, where you see now you don't see any of the pink there. This is a visual cue and I can't stress this enough, guys, I'm changing my bevel on the fly without even applying a bevel right now. That's
Very
also what
useful.
this is giving you. It's not about, oh, let me throw a bevel. Oh, did that work? Undo. Oh, let me throw another one. Did that work? Undo. This, you don't need any undos. It's you looking at it and going, okay, this is not working right now because I'm not seeing this pinkish color everywhere, right? And then so I'm saying, let's add a little bit more thickness, and I'm going to keep going until pretty much all I see is mostly that pink, right? And then again, the blue dots are where our polygroups are meeting. And now the other pinkish. And again, we can change all these colors, right? So I can change the amount here. We'll make it green, right? So this is your bevel amount. In essence, where does the bevel start and where does the bevel end? Okay. And then also, when I now auto apply this, you see that corner? See the little, you guys remember there's little pieces of geometry that were sitting there? They're gone. They're gone because I upped
Magic.
my amount.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then now on top of this, I don't like what's happening in here. So I'm going to throw a little smoothness in here. Okay. And have it just, you know, go change that topology. What? Come on, people. Seriously. I'm telling
That's
you,
sweet.
for me, this is a game changer for me. I can't stress this enough. I like it, Ash. I like it,
love
right?
it.
Throw it in there. Boom. Done. There
Mm-hmm.
it is. There's my new piece. Guys, try to think about, I challenge you, go try and do a bevel around this bottom piece that I have here. It would have been crazy. Or even this. Look at that. Look at all the change and shifts and planes that are
Be a
happening
lot of
in this. And
manual noodling.
yeah. Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
doing it, right? So let's take, for example, let's keep going down the BevelPro here. Okay. So now I've got something like this. Right. I do this a lot. I'm a big fan of doing this with live booleans. I like to use the cylinders to create, especially in automotive world. I see this a lot for air, you know, airflow, air vents, especially in ships and things like space. When I say ships, I mean like spaceships, sci-fi stuff, right? So what we're also going to be able to, because you guys are going to have a mesh like this. You can see this is made up of many, many different polygroups, right? And some of these hole or cylinder indentions have their own polygroups. Okay, so if you remember, we're talking about beveling based upon the polygroup changes. And again, look at this mesh. It's all over the place with topology, right? It's, you got more dense here, you got less dense here. These are all different. There's triangles, there's quads. And it's, again, sitting around 500,000 too, right? And I want to throw some bevels on this. So what I'm going to also do is say, I only want bevel right there. That's it. So I'm actually going to mask off everything else. Okay.
Very good.
Because I don't want BevelPro to even look at anything else. So I'm going to throw this in. So if you remember in the last example, we had some polygroup along the same plane. We've got a slider built into there. But when that's not working for you guys, no biggie. Okay. You can just mask off what you don't want to work. So obviously for this particular model, this is a little too insane for a bevel amount, right? I would want to go a lot smaller. And then this is the point of this. I want to go smaller with this and really see where my bevel is going to go, right? And now see if we zoom up, it's only happening now in a certain location, which is those 4 circles, right?
That's
and if we
the
auto
juice.
apply it, yeah.
It's the juice. You're giving us the juice. That's the good
There you
juice.
go, right? And so now you see these don't have it, and this does have it, right? So when we throw it back, okay, you're going to see, right? It's got the bevels on these, but no bevels on those. Okay, so you guys have control. Like there's a lot of control here. It was really important for us when we were developing this. It's trying to keep up as much control as we can for you all with the ability, like I said, a destructive, a non-destructive, using masking, not using masking, telling it not to use polygrouping or use polygrouping, okay? But it doesn't end there, okay? Right? So I want to keep highlighting some stuff with this. If you, again, you guys can tell this is like one of my little babies of what we've been developing. All right. So look at this mesh, right? As an example again, right? Not the prettiest thing for sure. Okay. But I want to start putting bevels through here. Okay. On this eye part. All right. So let's go ahead and let's BevelPro that. Okay. I'm going to throw this in there again. And I want to highlight a couple features again for this. Okay. So on purpose, I'm going to turn this off. Okay. For now. And then I'm also going to turn off our polygroup angle. We don't need that right now at all. Okay. And let's go in closer here. Let's go in a little bit closer. Okay. So you guys see this area right here? You see there's no bevel there? Okay. This is because the geometry I'm actually sending it has a problem. Okay. It's not BevelPro that's the problem. It's actually what I sent it. It's not clean topology. There's mesh sitting there like kind of squashed on top of itself, right? Almost like clip brushes in a way kind of thing, right? So this is sometimes even, and this is from a live Boolean mesh. So sometimes the resulting mesh, you could get topology that does this to you, right? So this is why, well, when you're in here, I need to be able to adjust this. So we've got an option here for you that's called fix edges. And what it's doing is we're going through and reanalyzing and looking at these points and problem solved,
You're
right?
giving us another ZBrush button. Another one.
Yeah.
Just fixes it. It's amazing.
Right? I'm telling you, right? This is, so the BevelPro is not just only just giving us the bevels. We're kind of fixing some stuff to make the bevels work for us and go at, right? And so if we go ahead and say auto apply this, right? One other thing that I want to highlight is you guys probably should see it right here. See this area right in there, right? See how that's not clean either? Again, that's just me, what I threw at this. The mesh itself was not clean, but we're giving you guys options to clean this. So in this case, I want to clean up the mesh that's being created to do the bevel. So this is where, again, I'm just going to throw this smoothness back on again. And you watch right in here, right in this area. Just watch.
I'm looking with my eyes.
Bam.
Beautiful.
Clean. Done.
Beautiful.
Right? And now you've got what you want. And now you guys can manipulate and say, if I want a little bit more bevel amount, you guys can throw a little more bevel amount, let the whole system run through its paces again, and then you're going to get a bigger bevel amount, right?
Oh, it's great.
Just like that, you've got now an extreme bevel going around the eyes there, right? I hit OK, and again, there it comes right into ZBrush. You're off and running, right? Boom. Yes. Because guys, just think about your questions today was asking stuff like this, and I'm giving you something that's now answering these questions that's coming to you guys, right? So this is going to be super handy. Okay, I'm not done. I'm not done. So as an example, okay, this is something that I made with using pretty much BevelPro like everywhere on this. Okay, and again, it's concave and convex. So even this, right through there, is creating, right? So for those that don't know, I'll go back to this first piece. See this right here? Right here? Look, that was from BevelPro, this portion right here. Right? Because if I undo this, see, that's how it looks like before I send to the BevelPro. BevelPro.
Beautiful.
Okay, so here, we'll turn off the polygrouping now. Before, right? This is what a concave convex difference is, right? There's different types, and BevelPro handles both for you. So it's not just about beveling negatively, right? This is more an additive. This is additive bevel, right? So you're getting both, okay? And so back into my example here, a little shoulder piece that I was making, right? Anywhere you guys see some major beveling, it's BevelPro, period. This is BevelPro, that's BevelPro, that right in here, this little transitional parts up here, right? Up through here, that's all BevelPro, and through there, all through here is got a ton of BevelPro. Now, when I was designing this and coming up with this, I think this was just like some of the stuff we were talking about with id, right? I didn't start here, obviously. I started with something like this, okay? And then this is just using the new bevel brushes that you guys already have, okay? And just taking a cube and beveling it up, right?
Wow. Damn.
But what I also have done with this, we don't need to save this, okay, is it's a dynamic. Oh, Dyna. Oh, the Dynamesh, right? So what you guys should now know is it's polygroup driven, right? So if you look at this, this is not pretty in the sense if you look at the poly. So let's just throw it in BevelPro and see what we get, okay? So I'm going to throw it in there, and this will also help you guys understand, hopefully, BevelPro even a little bit more. Oh, look at that. Just gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, that's a good line.
Just ugly, right? So number one, I don't have enough offset, right? You guys should know that. So that's enough offset. But why is it so bad through here is because our polygrouping is like doing a whole bunch of waving. Some of the polygroups are bleeding over to the other panel, right? So this panel to this panel, they're all bleeding over. Okay. So fine. Great. So again, We know you guys are going to use something like Dynamesh. It's understandable. Okay. There's some great stuff with Dynamesh. And by the way, tomorrow. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is say, how about let's just polish the groups that you are looking at, BevelPro, because I know it's a Dynamesh and I know it's not clean. Done. Right. Now I've got the clean result. All right. Throw it on that, pop it back in, and then there you go. You're off and running. Okay. So we're developing this with the many things as we can possibly think of as well. Obviously, there's tons of scenarios you guys are going to be throwing at this for sure once you guys get it in your hands. But you can see what this does for you, right? It really opens up a different mindset, right? If you look how dense this is, 3.4 million polygons.
Yes,
right?
chunky.
This was all done with Beveling Pro in mind, right? So you've got different polygroups here, right? See? And that's how I got all the bevels through here. Okay. Was using BevelPro to make all this happen. Okay. So I'm excited to get this in all your hands once we get this out to the public. Okay. To you all.
Yes.
And again, these are just some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you guys. Okay. So tomorrow, I'm also going to be sharing some more stuff. And also Tuesday, I'm going to be sharing some more stuff with you. This is just a little bit of the tip of the iceberg for you all. Okay. So this is all I'm showing tonight. I'm not showing anything else tonight. Right. Because I want you back tomorrow and I want you back Tuesday. I got to be here. You got to be here.
The hook.
Okay.
It's the hook in line.
Yeah.